to directly affect his ability to stay seated and force him supine. Indirect would be more or less giving him a decision to go supine. So one of my favorite examples is if I get to a strong angle where I get here, now he's not really forced to go supine, but it's heavily encouraged. And this is not the only reaction from here. Like obviously from here he can turtle, right? Oh, no, other way. Just go this way. Like turtle away. He can hip escape and remain seated and face into me. But another very common reaction from here, you cut an angle, they want to deny the back, they're going to put their back to the mat. So indirect would be me creating a situation in which he's no longer, or it's no longer attractive for him to stay seated. So then he would concede to his back. So other examples would be possibly threatening some degree of front headlock, they concede to their back, threatening some degree of body lock, right? They concede to their back. And then now we've found a way to put them to their back. So making the distinction between the two, because I see a lot of people make the mistake of, okay, I want to put them on their back, so now I'm just going to lift their ankles and push their shoulders, and that's all I'm going to do. So we have to make the distinction between these two means of forcing our opponent supine, and then we can use them in conjunction, which are going to make us a lot more effective, because now maybe when one fails, I can't grip the ankle, now I can cut an angle, and that I can't cut an angle, and now I can go back to the ankle and push a shoulder. So we're using these in combination, which they almost have like a synergistic quality where it's going to make us a lot more effective by using these means together. Now we're going to be going over like proactive gripping, and so we're going to go over first like the more direct means that we look to go about doing this, and what are some of the most like basic ways we can look to do this. So like we discussed before, shoulder posts and ankle grips are going to be the primary means for us to go about forcing to their back, but we have to understand in what context are they appropriate. So generally what I want to do is I want to interpret where my opponent's resources are allocated. So basically what that means is where are his hands defending more. So let's say I'm really faking like I want to go grab his ankles. This is going to create a situation where he's going to focus a lot of his attention on defending his ankles, and it's going to make it difficult to grab. So in these situations, I'm going to start looking to go shoulder post, and vice versa. When he starts looking to address the shoulder post by possibly gripping, just staying in the context of what we're doing, we're not going to go into counter gripping, but now when he's more focused on the upper body, now we go lower body, and vice versa. There can be situations in which he positions his body in ways that makes this difficult. Like for example, he like crosses his feet, right? Now I can't really go for the ankles, but from here there's also a lot of other risks he's putting himself in. Right now it's very easy for me to snap him down, as well as use this in conjunction with pushing grips. So making sure that we're not like getting too tunnel visioned on just pushing his shoulders or just grabbing his ankle. Making sure to stop and think, okay, where is he defending? And then where is he not defending? And that's going to give us direction in which we're going to be going towards the upper body or lower body. Okay, so now we're going to be going over indirect gripping. So just now is fairly direct in our intentions. So now we can start being a little bit more deceptive and a little bit more, like we can plan a little bit more ahead. So something we can do often is not focusing on the initial grip we make, but also trying to time our opponent's reactions and time their counters. So for example, when Kenta plays seated, something that may happen if I take a shoulder post is that he's going to look to strip the shoulder post with a 2-on-1. Right? And so this can often lend itself well, especially to me, to either like get my own grips by like putting his hands to the mat, and we'll cover this a little more later, as well as like doing the same from ankle grips, like he counters. And from here I can think of ways to either, once again, break or negate this grip, or I can start looking to move in certain directions to counter. As well as in situations, I can also not only exclusively attack the hands and the shoulder, the feet and the shoulders, but we can also think about their hands. So something we can do with this is also use our like vision to almost deceive them in this way, where I could be looking at one hand and I can prepare for him to pull this away, and now I can go to the foot. Or if I prepare to like go for the hand, I look at the hand and I can push the shoulder, and then now he might strip the shoulder, and from here I can start making grips on him, maybe possibly going to the ankles. So preparing a lot for their reactions. And the way I would use this, especially in a more practical sense is when you're training, thinking about, okay, what is my opponent likely to do in terms of a follow-up? Because this is going to be what really makes this useful. Because if I just like drill a bunch of these things, it's not going to be as useful as this if you think about them mid-roll. Because in the middle of the roll, if you can start looking to like collect data on what your opponent's going to do off of certain grips, you can start looking to anticipate a lot of their movements and anticipate a lot of their offense, which is going to give you almost like a step up where now you're almost in the driver's seat and you're prepared for what they're going to go for and what they're going to do. And this is going to make it a lot easier for us to start looking to get into our own offense. Okay, so now we're going to be going over reactive gripping. So this is going to be when our opponent gets a good grip on us and how we can start looking to address this problem. So first we're going to go over a 2-on-1. And so let's talk about the different types of 2-on-1 and how we look to address it. So generally the 2-on-1s, we're going to first address a 2-on-1 elbow. So when he has a control of my wrist and control of my elbow, and understanding the differences that like the different variations they may have from here. So oftentimes they can go palm up, palm down, right? And so this will often determine what options we have in terms of escaping, because obviously, let's say he's palm down and I try to pull up, I can't really do this, and vice versa. If he's palm up, I can't really break the grip downwards. So this is something that we're going to have to make sure we understand when looking to deal with this. Something that's also going to start looking to affect our decisions here is the tightness of his grip. So not necessarily the tightness of his hands and the clamp he has, but it's more the tightness of his elbows relative to his body. So what this means is that if his elbows are tight to his body, this makes this grip very strong. But understanding now that his body is rigid, now it's easier for us to off balance him and possibly plant a hand to the mat. So for example, one of the ways I like to address this is by passing my arm across and start looking to force his hand to plant. If he doesn't let go of this grip, as I look to force him to, like, don't let go, right? He's going to look to concede his back to the mat, and now I'm in a good offensive position. However, if he's wary of this, right, he's going to play with his elbows loose, right? And so now when I look to pass it across, I can. But what this creates is a situation where his grips become much weaker. And now it's easy for me to look to strip these grips and now follow up to either get